All right. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
So we got Brandon and Benjamin here, the Helio sequence. I was thinking to myself while watching that song, there's some bands that have like big pyrotechnics, you know, and to get people to look at the stage and keep people entertained. But you guys just have Benjamin on the drums. And that's like a show like in itself. It's like you pay to see the band, but you get to see Benjamin also play the drums. Is it choreographed at all, or is that just the feeling you get when you like at home by yourself? Is it like that?
Well, I think for each song, I slowly figure out how I move. You know, it's kind of like getting the maximum expression per song.
It's like a little dance.
It is kind of like a little dance.
And that's why when somebody asks us to do like an unplugged session with brushes or something, even in a small room like this, it's not so easy for us to do.
It's just not quite the same.
Yeah.
You still need some elbow room.
Yeah, I've just...
So you guys have been part of the Portland music scene a while. You're from Beaverton, right? And then you've been playing since the late 90s in Portland. How have you noticed the Portland music scene changing in that time?
Well, oh gosh, it's changed a lot. You know, I feel like when we were coming up as a band in the late 90s, it was kind of like that was like one of the first big shifts from a lot of the bands that had gotten really big during the whole...
the old grunge bands,
yeah, the grunge
kind of dying a little bit.
Right, so that scene was kind of tailing off, and there was something new kind of coming up, like around about 2000, and we happened to just kind of start playing all around the clubs then, and it was a different experience for us because at that point we would play clubs like every week, once a week, if not more. So it's very much like
Your demos were on cassettes.
Right.
And if you were really cool, you had some CDs. We learned how to burn CDRs before most people did.
High tech. We recorded on an ADAT recorder, which was state of the art then.
I had one of those. So you guys talked about playing clubs. I'm sure you've played almost every venue in Portland. Do you have any favorites?
I have a big spot in my heart for the Crystal Ballroom. There's just something about it. It's always, you know, when we were first starting as a band, that was this big destination for us. Like, someday we're going to play the Crystal Ballroom. And you know, we've had the chance to play it a lot of times and open for a lot of bands that we really look up to, you know, like Built to Spill and Modest Mouse and all these bands. And it's always amazing at the Crystal.
So it was a pretty rainy day here today, pretty typical Portland day here. And it's kind of a rainy day that sort of led to your album in a way. You want to tell the people about the flood?
Well, it was a day kind of like this. We happened to be out of town. We were on the East Coast touring, and we got a call saying that our studio, which unfortunately is in the basement on the east side, was completely flooding. And the next door neighbor didn't have a key. And they were asking for permission to break down the door and get inside and kind of save all the stuff that we have there. So, as we all know, it all ties into the whole like big pipe project. So all the water came from the sewer, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't know, pretty much any building on the Lower East Side that has a basement, when it rains a lot, it's probably flooded. Every single building. It's
like a geyser, unfortunately. Yeah. And so we came home to like a big flooded studio and kind of had to pick up the pieces literally and realize that we weren't going to be able to stay there. So put all of our stuff in storage and started looking around and found a brand new studio space and spent a good amount of the year, you know, like 5 or 6 months, really getting settled in to the new space. And it was really instrumental, you know, for us in terms of the sound of the record and just the different vibe of the new space that we were in. And especially being able to play all the way through the night, whereas before we were playing with a lot of other bands that were sharing, you know, practice spaces by us. So you could be interrupted at any time in the old space by like a heavy metal band starting to just really lay into it. And the new space, we're just all alone, you know. The loudest thing we have by us is a children's book bank, if that gives you any idea of how peaceful it is there. So it really informed the sound of the record.
So did you record the record in that space?
Yeah,
we did.
And the way that you recorded it, does that influence how you play the music live now? Do you play it differently with the new kind of influence?
I mean, I'm not sure if the recording itself affects the live performance so much, because I think when you transition from any recorded song to a live performance, it kind of becomes something different. It becomes a unique piece, I think.
Right, and we've been playing for so many years. I think it's more a matter of finishing a record and then listening back to the songs and saying, okay, how do we incorporate this with what we know to be the Helio Sequence live show? So things may come up in tempo a little bit or feel, but yeah, it's more about incorporating it into the live thing, and we kind of look at them both as separate entities.
All right, well, let's hear some more of the live thing. Give it up one more time for the Helio Sequence.